Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Kirioff. You know. Now, if anybody has
I know.
watched, yeah, I know as well. If anybody has seen our unit loss classified thing, you get when you're a Patreon subscriber, um, it usually features the beginning of HOTFIX with various problems. However, because HOTFIX is now live, you get to witness this shit live because it's very difficult to set this up. You may notice, ladies and gentlemen, that Mr. Kirioff is actually he's gone to the side. I will attempt
Did
to
I do
fix
that?
this.
Did I do that?
I have
Tell
fixed
me
it.
if I did.
I have
I
fixed
didn't think I had this time. I apologise wholeheartedly. I did not mean to do that.
I
I
have
think it was probably when I went when I leaned over to grab my lad to show off the lad who's going to get painted soon, the old chapter master. I leaned and I must have moved the chair. I did not mean to move the chair. I apologise. Have you broken me? I bet you've broken me. It's going to take a second for the stream to catch up, but I bet you've fucking broken me, ain't you? I can tell by your face.
Oh yeah,
Jesus
you
Christ.
see my face in real time. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, hello, welcome to HOTFIX. So this is our amazing weekly gaming discussion show, which is absolutely le pois in every single conceivable way. So we've got a number of topics today, ladies and gentlemen. The first one is, well, we're going to talk about Warlords of... Let's just let him get it out of his system, ladies and gentlemen. I find that over the years...
You started it. You started it. I didn't start that.
And now
That
he's
was you.
shouting at me really loud. Are the volume levels okay, ladies and gentlemen? I presume they are. I don't know. Somebody will tell me in the chat when it catches up. So yes, we will talk about Warlords of Draenor, that well-known cleaning toilet plumbing company. The launch problems they've had because they've been pretty monumental, old Blizzard. But then we'll also speak about Blizzard's reaction because it's been kind of interesting, although I think it's not really that good. But we'll get into that. Elite Dangerous. This is an interesting one, Mr. Kirioff. I'm sure you'll agree. They've
Definitely.
dropped the promised offline mode. Now, this is because at the start of their Kickstarter, during their Kickstarter campaign, they did say there will be an offline mode. So obviously that pissed some people off, but we'll go into detail on that as well because I don't know whether that's that much of a problem. It's 2014. If you don't have the internet, then whatever.
Yeah.
But that could just be because I've got the internet. Who knows? I know there are people in Australia and in the parts of the US and probably people who live out in the middle of a field in the UK who do not have the
People on
internet.
submarines. Wasn't that the big thing for Xbox
Oh
One?
God, that
What if you're on a
Matrick guy.
submarine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don Matrick. What if you live on a submarine? Well, you can't have one then.
No,
that
what
was
did he
his
say?
response, wasn't it?
Yes, but we have a system for them. It's called the Xbox 360.
That was it. Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then we're going to talk about Far Cry 4. Now, it does say Far Cry 4 problems and this live update page. It's more to do with the live update page, although we'll speak a little bit about Far Cry 4, which I don't think is a bad game, but it's obviously got problems on the PC. And this is what I'm looking forward to, is Mr. Kirioff has been playing Dragon Age. So what does the pleb think? Now, I'm in control of the graphics, so I get to call him a pleb, and he can't do anything about it, ladies and gentlemen.
You have actually put that in. You bastard.
Yes.
I didn't realise you'd left it in. I thought that was just like a shitty joke you made. Jesus Christ. And
I'm
you
also-
complain about my behaviour. You complain about my behaviour and you're putting
Quiet.
stuff like that. Jesus.
I'm also sporting full trade, although my camera's like mirrored so you can't see it, but full trade mugs available somewhere. There's maybe a link. I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen,
There's maybe a link.
you know what I'm also sporting as well? Look at this. Does anybody remember this? Do you remember this, Mr. Kiri? Remember that bitch?
I've got one.
Oh,
I have
baby.
one.
I had loads. There's loads of them made, so I just wear them every day. It's old school unit lost. Anyway, let's get into HOTFIX. So, oh yeah, disclaimer, I have broke the overlay when we go to it next. I'm pretty sure I've broke it because I made a big bad fuck up, but I think it'll be fine. So,
Shocking.
pray. It actually worked. All right, Mr. Kirioff. So, first things first. Well, I'll explain what you're seeing on the screen. So this is a graph, right? I'm not sure how super accurate this is, but I think what this is well, at least most of the main bits are when the earnings call thing is done at various points in the year, and Blizzard state how many people are subscribing to World of Warcraft. Obviously, these ones that are really close at the start, maybe not, but this serves its purpose. So we're going to go through this, Mr. Kirioff, and we're going to start off at the beginning. So in 2004, in October, the game launches, and you can see there is a pretty steady kind of growth going on there, which is, decent. Burning Crusade comes out,
Yeah.
more growth. Again, steady growth.
Steady. So the thing to remember as well, though, that when you look at this, because on a graph without mousing over, it's like, yeah, that's pretty steady growth. It's also ridiculously like strong growth when you look at it. To have like what's that? 8 million subs after 2 years of the game being launched. That's pretty ridiculously insane.
I think. Hang on, my webcam's a bit.
Oh god, mine's got all bright.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Mine's white because my light fell down and it's all bad. So so it's kind of the market leader there at these points. You know, it's going through vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. It kind of plateaus out a bit, but then it does hit its all-time high, which is 12 million. And then from then on, it kind of collapses because Cataclysm comes out. Cataclysm was absolutely.
Yeah,
it was so. Well, you can't just. I mean. Okay, hats off to Blizzard for trying what they did.
In comparison to Wrath, it was
that's the problem.
Not good.
You know what? You've summed it up there. You fucking summed it up there. So whatever. I don't even need to go into detail. Comparison to Wrath, it was no good. So look at. I mean, the figures speak. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The figures speak. So you've gone down from 12 million to 9.1 million. Oh, there's a bit of a resurgence there, back to 10. Okay. This is an interesting point because I'm going to use this as a comparison. And then we go into fucking Pandaland. Oh, dearie me, we capitulate at the lowest point to 6.8. Now, I tell you why Pandaland capitulated. I know Pandaland was a good expansion mechanically and all the rest of that. It wasn't really a Warcraft expansion because it involved stupid pandas, which were more of a side joke from Warcraft 3, which suddenly an entire expansion was based around. And it's like, guys, are you just trying to appeal to the Asian market to get some sort of a foothold over there because they, pandas? Is that what you were doing? Probably. That's what I think they were doing. I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't even care. That's what I think they were doing.
Yeah.
Shit expansion. Like we laughed. I remember sitting there watching bloody BlizzCon. They announced it. I'm laughing. Like, there, my little virtual ticket. There it is. It's fucking virtual. You can't see it. Anyway, it was shit. People in the crowd were like, what is this? And then there was like, the orc golf clap. But anyway. We then come to the launch of Warlords of Draenor. Now, you will notice there is literally a 2.6 million increase. Or maybe it's 2.6. I think their sales were 3.2 million or something in the first 48 hours, something like that. But you can see it's gone back up to 10 million, okay? I would bet that it's going to go up more than that because I think it will. Because what's happening here is this expansion is drawing back everybody from Wrath of the Lich King. These are people who enjoyed Warcraft for what it was, the continuation of the story arc from Warcraft 3, from Frozen Throne, going to fight the Lich King, and then it ended, and then it was like, shit, we need a bad boss, Cataclysm, oh shit, pandas, then it's like, oh shit, let's go back to where we made the money. That's what they've done.
Bad. I still don't really understand who the main bad guy for Mist of Pandaria was supposed to be. I still can't. I mean, was it Garrosh in the end? I mean, technically, I suppose it sort of was, but it's like, for me, the thing with Pandaland was, it was like, look at this, guys, you can go to Pandaland. If you think before that, what was it for Burning Crusade? What was it for Wrath? What was it for Cataclysm?
Yeah.
There was a big headline guy, wasn't there? It was like, we need to go here because this guy is going to absolutely wreck everybody. We need to do this. With Pandaland, it was like, look, pandas. And I was just sat there going, what? But where's the incentive?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but like what we've got now, maybe this is like the swan song of World of Warcraft, where it's going to reach a peak in Warlords of Draenor, which is going to be pretty close to where it was in Wrath, and then it's all downhill from then on. Because I mean, they've already gone back in time. What appeals to me with the expansion is you've seen all the people like Garrosh and everybody else, and it appeals to me, and I like Wrath of the Lich King, and I guess that's who it's bringing back. But that's not really what this segment's about. The segment is about the launch and the quality of the launch, because now I don't
the lack of quality of the launch.
Yeah, but I really don't get this, right? And I think I've got I think this is a valid point to make. If we go on my graph, I'm hovering over October 2010, December 2009, March 2009, and these are all figures that are 10 million plus. The game was perfectly functional at these times. Now, with Warlords of Draenor, it capitulated. Now, you could say, though, but it was a new expansion. There's new bits and bobs, garrisons, whatever, being put in. Arguably, that shouldn't really matter, I don't think. And I think that the server architecture, so what the game's actually run on behind the scenes, is more powerful now than it was in 2009 by quite a bit. So surely that'd be able to handle 10 million players. It all seems weird to me why it would collapse. And I know there was stuff like, well, it was a DDoS. We got DDoSed and that all this shit. And it's like maybe they did at points, but not repeatedly. There were issues that were not like, they were like CPU issues. That's what it felt like. Things hanging, then suddenly catching up. It didn't. It was I don't know what. I really don't know what happened. I really don't. It made you clusterfuck.
Yeah, part of me kind of wonders if they didn't scale everything back during Mists of Pandaria because the sub numbers fell to such an extent that it was not really viable to keep everything running.
Yeah.
And then it comes to Warlords of Draenor, and it was like, obviously they would have known it was popular because people would have been resubbing during Mists of Pandaria, and you can see that kind of increase on the graph. But I get the feeling that what happened was they prepared for people at launch, but they did not prepare for like 2 million of like 2 to 3 million people suddenly going, I'm interested in this, and coming straight back, because that's a huge portion of people to come back to a game. I mean, to be honest, that's a huge portion of people to play a game to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 million people, and if you're not prepared for it, if you literally at the point where your sub numbers are like stable at 7 million, you're not going to expect. You're not going to expect that many people to come back.
I wonder if they had more realms as well. I never actually thought about that before I put a point across. But even that being said, this is Blizzard. It's not a small company. It's a big company. You would expect them to be able to deflect this kind of thing. But the reception prior to the launch of Warlords of Draenor was really positive anyway.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah,
you would think, well, we need to at least make sure we can actually handle this. Now, what I've got up here is the post from the community manager from Blizzard. So I'm not going to read through this, but obviously there'll be links to this in the description of the video. You guys can check out if you want to read it all. But it's just an apology, just saying we had some problems and there's a thing, blah, blah, blah. But we're Blizzard, so we're going to actually do something for you. So what we're going to do is we're adding 5 days worth of extra time to every subscription in the Americas, Australians and Europe, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so I've got another source. Now, this is from Reddit. Now, I'm not entirely sure how accurate this is, but it will serve my point, Mr. Kiri, and we will get there in a moment. Come with me on a merry journey, children. That sounds wrong. So it says here, okay, so this user from, I think you guys can see this just about. Yeah, you can basically just see it. So it says, if all 7.5 million subscribers from their last count gets to 5 days, that's 18.75 million in lost revenue, okay? Granted, that assumes all would resubscribe at the end of their month, okay? So then some guy's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That's quite an investment. But hang on a minute. Blizzard have not actually just given away 18.7 million. This is why, I know it's Reddit. Don't believe everything you read on Reddit. I submit this to you, Mr. Kirioff, right? If you have played for a month of World of Warcraft and then you are given 5 days on top of that month, which you were going to play anyway because you've just bought the expansion, you've made your mind up already if you're going to play the game after that, okay? Yeah. 5 days? You're still going to be resubbing after that time. So it's like, it's a gesture more than anything. It's more like... It's not really costing them anything, you know what I mean? Okay, it is because it's time, but and it is 80. If this is correct, these figures are correct.
But it's also a very sort of deliberate thing where
it's not really anything.
People more time, there's more chance that they will then come back after that time is up because you've given them more time to appreciate the game and to get sucked into it again. Because that's the big draw for MMOs, isn't it? It's getting getting that addiction factor in.
I guess, yeah, but but my point is it's like. You've decided right now. Are you playing this after the next month? After the first month?
Yeah.
Yeah, so why do you care about 5 days? You don't care. What you care about is the gesture. They've done something. So you're like, oh, shit. So if Blizzard did nothing and just were like, we're not doing anything, it would be weird. But because they've come out and said we're giving you free time, obviously they're not going to say we're giving you a free month. That would be fucking, ludicrous. If they did do that, that would be a severe fucking, WoW makes mental money a month. That is just never going to happen. It's just a goodwill thing, and it's like, here you go, and you're like, oh, cheers. But it's not really anything. It's like giving somebody a nothing gift,
I'd love to know how much of it is offset by the number of people who bought boosts to 90 as well. That's a figure I wanted to see from the start of this, just all ongoing. How many people were like, I've got a level 50, I want to be level 90, I'll buy a boost. Well, do you know what I mean? It's like.
we used to know a guy, didn't we, who worked at Blizzard, and he said it was quite interesting the amount of like money they would make through like server transfers and stuff like that. Like it was astronomical. Yeah. So I'd imagine that it is fucking mental.
I bet it's
you think of it this way,
fucking high.
If you're into WoW, okay, and like you have to think like try and think out of your and kind of my situation a little bit, because we are people who play a ton of games. People watching this podcast are probably like, you know, they play a lot of games as well. But there are people out there who just play one game, you know, and that may well be World of Warcraft for them. So for them to spend 40 quid or whatever it is in whatever currency you've got, it's essentially the price of a new game, a triple A game from wherever. So to them, it's like, well, I'm just, you know, it's not really, it's sort of just buying an expansion. You get what I'm saying? It's to us, it's a bit ludicrous. It's like, what the fuck? Why would I want to do that? You know, that's a bit mad, but...
And now you put it like that, actually, that kind of explains the pricing behind the mounts as well. Because I remember ranting about those when I saw. I was like, 17 quid for a mount that you already pay a subscription for. But then I thought, well, say you've played the game like for the last 4 years. You've just done your subscription. You see a mount that you like and it's 17 quid. Well, actually, that works out way less than if you bought a different game every month. So I guess in a way that kind of offsets it, and that's the market that kind of thing is aimed at, isn't it? It's the people who've been there for so long, and it's their main game, so they're going to do stuff like that. The thing is, though, the problem that I've got, and the problem that I've always had with any sort of MMO launch, especially, frankly, World of Warcraft expansions, by this point, okay, I know they had 3 million something people come back. That's insane. Good for them. Fantastic. Could you not have, like, overstocked, like, I don't know, overprepared, not underprepared, like, slammed way more into it than was necessary for a smooth launch? Because if it had been smooth, which it wasn't, that's the main thing. No one is going to try and sit there and claim that this was a good launch for an expansion. Everything was laggy as hell. Spawn timers were, like, through, basically, at minus numbers. You had to wait so long for stuff to come up. There were so many people in each area that it took, like, it could take at times like 2 to 3 minutes just for everything to load in. And that is not acceptable. The queue times were just like off the chart. So
you also get that thing as well, don't you? Where like everybody, if you've been around games and MMOs, you know that the launch of an MMO, it's just fucking, it's ludicrous. Saying to yourself, I'm going to be there right on launch, and like I've done it. I did it for fucking Warlords of Draenor. I've done it for loads. I'm going to be there, and it's going to be, it's going to be fine this time. No, but maybe it would be fine because it was Blizzard, and it's like, well, it might be fine, but you get there, and it's not going to be fine, is it? Because the fucking world server was resetting constantly. The login servers were down. It took eventually when we did get in. Do you remember that? It was a place in Frostfire Ridge.
The flags and the trees.
Where the garrison gets built, and there was just like hundreds of people there, and they kept dropping down the choo-choo train. So it's just going choo-choo. It's like, holy shit, it's unplayable. But then, like, what about this then? What kind of fucking design decision is that? You know you're going to get fucking hammered. Even if no new players came to the game, you're going to get fucking hammered because suddenly these zones are just going to get flooded with everybody. The existing populations, they move into it. So why? And you know what as well? Before I let you come in, Mr. Kiri, why were some quests, right, updatable? Like if it was a collection quest, right? Let's say you have to collect the GG button, right? Here's the GG button. Player 1 walks past, clicks the GG button, and then it disappears. So player 2's standing there waiting for it to appear. It appears, but player 3 nicks it. So player 2's like, shit, it never rendered on my screen yet. But then some quests, the GG button was permanently there. So it's like, oh, mine. What the hell is going on there? You know, like that's really just one example of loads of this. Yeah.
And the thing, what was I going to say? No, that was it. I remember commenting actually on the night that
it'll be all right on the night.
It just felt like, at this point, they should know. You know what I mean? They should know. Yeah. I mean, I know it's. I'm not going to sit here and be like, "Oh, well, I'm a server expert. I know how to fix all this stuff." I don't. But on the other hand, I also know that if you've got a game with like 7 million active players, and you've received an excellent reception for the expansion to your game, you do something to offset that. I mean, even the way the quests were laid out. I remember in Wrath, you could go to 2 places when you went into Wrath. There were 2 different zones you could start out in to get to 85. You could either, I can't remember, it was Northrend? And there was another one. But there were 2 different areas.
Hang on, no, that's totally wrong. The Alliance and the Horde, No shit. No, you are right, but you think your thing's wrong
like...
because no, hang on, because Alliance started off in Warlords of Draenor. They start off on fucking Shadow Moon Valley or somewhere. Somewhere else, and we started off in Frostfire. Whereas on Wrath, I think you had the choice, but both factions were in those zones. But with Warlords of Draenor, one was Horde and one was Alliance. Yeah,
and that was the problem because I vaguely, because I seem to remember with Wrath that you could go to one place or go to another place, which was like a bit better. I feel like I'm remembering that wrong, but I'm sure there was some sort of option somewhere as to where you could go first.
But the thing is,
the problem with the way they did things with Warlords, I think, is that they pushed the garrison thing, which is fine. I like the fact you've got garrisons now, but the way they did it and the fact that all the garrisons are in the same spot meant that everyone basically followed a quest chain that they had to follow to get to that point because there was no way to get past it. And you just funneled like literally millions of people into just one area on the map. And it's like, and that did you not at some point consider
4
that
years
was
ago,
an
5 years ago
thing to do?
You know what as well, right? Going through Warlords of Draenor, right? Effectively, it's been the same leveling process as every other expansion you've seen. It's a bit more streamlined, but there has been points where, like, you get given the story quests, which end in scenarios, and they are enjoyable to do. Okay, like you do them, and that's great. But then there's like a large section of now you've got to do 2 levels or whatever through just doing mindlessly shit. Kill 10 of these, collect 10 of that, and it's like, what is going on here, Blizzard? You've sort of half done something which is pretty good, yet you're still gone back to the old crap system. Like, why couldn't they have had a complete leveling process from 90 to 100 that goes completely through these stories? The scenario type, the way it introduces the various Iron Horde characters and things like that, and there's like a bit of story, and like I remember the one with Blackhand where you're on his boat and you've got to kill him and all that stuff. It's like, that was quite interesting, but it seems like they go forward in some areas, in other areas they don't. Maybe that's just because they haven't got the time to develop it, I don't know. But I am interested to see what happens in a month's time with their population. I guess MMO Champion will keep this graph going. It'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think overall it was a really bad launch. It should have been a lot better. Blizzard know they fucked up. It's going to be remembered for that. This is going to be remembered as like a capitulation. I might be talking absolute shit here, but I don't think the WildStar launch was that bad. Thinking about it,
I think the WildStar launch was a lot smoother. I seem to remember it was definitely smoother than Warlords of Draenor. This is it. Yeah, I knew it. There was Borean Tundra or Howling Fjord you could start out in Wrath. It was split either end of the continent. You could go to either side. Yeah. Which I think that I don't understand why they felt the need to funnel everyone into that one zone, because I'm sure that was the root of a lot of the problems. It was a root of a lot of the problems we had, because we had to stop on the first night, didn't we? Just because it was literally impossible to get any further, because the player population in this and it wasn't even a big area either. It was a small area where you did these quests. You could run across it in like 2 minutes, but when you've got like 100 people at a time, all trying to interact with one NPC or click like a bloody tree or a flag or whatever it was, it's just impossible, and it grinds to a halt. And Blizzard aren't stupid, which is why I wonder with some of the decisions they made, because now I'm past that and I'm further in. I'm really enjoying Warlords. I think it's a good expansion so far. I'm liking it.
Yeah.
But it was just such a badly thought out launch that I kind of wonder what they were thinking at the time, because I think even if they hadn't had all those people come back, it still would have been a clusterfuck. That's what I think. I think even if it hadn't been that many people coming back to play the game, it would have just been funnel after funnel, and there's nothing you can do once you get to that.
Well, I'm trying to remember how they fixed it. I'm pretty sure I read something where they to fix it. Basically, what they did was they've put layers and layers of zones up on top of zones. So there's instancing of the like a Frostfire Ridge, for example. There's like 1,000 instances of it or whatever now. But there was probably more at the peak. So everybody could play like kind of on their own like plane, which is a thing MMOs have done for years, and Blizzard have said they never really want to do that with WoW. So maybe them being a little bit ambitious of like, let's just get everyone together. But even then, you would know as whoever what's the bloody lead game designers now? I can't remember, but they would know that if they've looked at these quest sections, that everybody is suddenly going to be standing on top of fucking Thrall waiting to build the garrison, and there's just going to be a massive I think I was getting like 6 FPS or something. It's like, what is going on here? It was just so bad design. Yeah,
That
yeah.
was the
But they did
worst.
disable that.
That was bad.
They disabled
But
it.
that
over
says
the
something,
hotfix.
doesn't it? It was like we've disabled it, and I was just thinking,
Yeah.
maybe if you'd have thought about this a little bit more, you wouldn't have to do little things like that. Do you know what I mean? It's
Terrible.
like just consider where you're putting all these people at one point.
Anyway, that's World of Warcraft, and it's in a good state. It looks to be in a good state at the moment. It's not having any of the lag issues. Well, I haven't had any lag issues. The only thing I've had recently is like sometimes I'd loot an item, but it wouldn't actually be in my bag, but then it'd get mailed to me. But like that's only really minor. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some of the heroic dungeons and stuff. And I also know as well, guys, I can see that on the stream it looks like a bit of the window is like cropping into the webcams, but I can't fix that. Because once it's live, it's just live. So just deal with it.
Just deal.
Okay. So this is Elite Dangerous, the next thing. Now, I'm going to read this article off, or at least sections of it. So we're on PC Gamer, and so what the hell is this? The fuck? Ladies and gentlemen, you can understand why people use ad block, can't you, ladies and gentlemen? See, like, I just want to get something off a chest here. I got no problem with people that use ad block. I mean, obviously, it's detrimental to me. And when I look at the figures of what the channel would actually do if nobody used ad block, it would be amazing. But they use ad block, and that's why they use ad block, because you get a fucking goddamn shitty advert like that about a Sony 4K television all over the fucking screen when all you want to do is fucking Christ. Anyway,
fuck off! It's done it to me as well. It says click or hover to expand, but you're not even mousing over it, and it does anyway. Those full screen adverts. No, PC gamers, stop it.
Look, at the bath. Oh, shit. But this is, in fact, here we go. This is another hard-hitting hotfix topic. This is the sign of the death of these websites, because they have to absolutely nickel and dime everybody for ad views now, because they're old. They're old, ladies and gentlemen. Let it be known that their day has come and it has gone.
Soon they will pass away.
Yeah, probably like in a shitstorm of something similar to fucking game, whatever. Gamergate's a website. Don't hate them. Anyway. Okay, so, oh my God, I shouldn't have used this article. It's a bit gash. There was blah, 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 blah. So basically what the article says, ladies and gentlemen, is during the Kickstarter campaign for Elite Dangerous, right, one of the things they did say is, this kind of goes to a wider thing about promising things and then not delivering, is there will be an offline mode, okay? So you can play on your own, like the old Elite games, because obviously they were on the fucking, I think the first was on the BBC micro thing. There was no internet in them days, ladies and gentlemen. These people, the people who were like back in Elite Dangerous are like your dad, right? It's the only way I'm going to put this. They're like 50 odd. There's probably people in the chat like starts talking shit, but whatever. They wanted the game, so they backed it, right? Maybe they don't want to fuck about online with Uber Elite Haxer, no fucking MLG Scoper man, and all that shit. They just want to play in their nice little flight simulator that's cost them 50,000 quid because they've probably got some massively good job, and they've ruined the economy for their kids who will never own houses or property in any kind of way because the prices have gone astronomically high. Anyway, so they were promised a feature that was not given. Now, this has actually changed. This changed today because when this was first put down for hotfix, it might have actually been yesterday, there was no response off David Braben or off anybody from Elite because it was just, hi, we're removing it. And David Braben's like, the reason we're removing it is because it serves no purpose, because we want an online world where we can deliver updates and, change the way the world functions and the galaxy, the universe functions and operates, and that's much better. Which makes sense, but of course this caused a backlash because it's like, this is a Kickstarter game, so people do feel entitled. I have given money, you have told me there would be an offline mode, and now there is no offline mode. I will now kill you and all your family because I'm on Twitter and I'm a hard man. That's how these things go, right? And it's like, well, okay.
It's accurate. It's 100%
it is.
accurate. That's
so these people
thing.
have gone on an... I mean, and they're right. I'm not saying they're wrong. If they will promise something which they're not going to be getting, and I'd be angry. You would be angry. But like you said, it's the internet, so you get internet hard man. Or possibly internet hard women. Anyway, he's now come out and said that they will give a refund. If you're not happy, they will refund your pledge, which is good. But this goes into, the debate I wanted to have with this topic now, obviously, because it's developed, is when something is promised and then it's not given. And how this, even though this doesn't seem like massive news, it kind of is, because a lot of stuff is often promised and then never never shows up in games, and then it's just like, forget about
Yeah.
it. You know, but at least there's some sort of reaction to that.
See, for me, especially with Kickstarter, you're right. There is a sense of entitlement. Is I've backed this, and you are not going to give me a feature. But at the same time, yeah, they have backed it, but they're backing like an evolving project, something that is going to keep growing and people are going to keep working on, something that someone has to have a creative direction over, otherwise it would never get made in the first place. And if the people making it have sat there and they've said, no, look, seriously, if we do an offline mode, it's going to be like a watered down version. We can't do what we want with it. It will not be what we want the game to be. Therefore, I don't think we should do it. I think only the most kind of entitled and ignorant of people can sit there and go, oh, well, this is bullshit. Especially if they're offered something in return, like for the fact that they didn't get what they were promised. Because on the one hand, yeah, it is them saying, we will do this. But on the other hand, if they then turn around and say, we think that this would be better without it, this is why we think this is what we've done about it, and this is how we're going to make it up to you, then, you know what, I might be disappointed, but I would at least try and be understanding about it, do you know what I mean? I feel like there are a lot of people who aren't, who deliberately take the stand of, it's my money. Yeah, it is your money, but it's also not your creative vision, you know? It's not something that you've imagined. It's not you doing the work, is what it boils down to. You might have funded it, but at the same time,
I think
it clearly states that once you've given you money, they can use
Your
it.
Honour, Your Honour,
That's
Your Honour,
how
Your
it
Honour,
works.
Your Honour. I'd like to retract the statement, because my statement only makes sense in one kind of way, and that is it doesn't really make sense with Kickstarter, because if you, like you just said, you are pledging towards something, and they give you a list of things they will try and achieve. It doesn't necessarily say it will be there. I mean, fucking hell, Star Citizen is probably not going to hit most of the stuff it says it's going to do. It might do, but it'll be in a reduced capacity.
It's going to end up being the most ridiculous game ever made. I still don't understand how the hell they think they're going to achieve all this.
Anyway,
Yeah.
but what's more accurate is if I was to say, if you bought a game, like if you went into a shop and paid money for a game and you were promised features on the back of the box. I'm looking at you, World of Warcraft. Dance Studio.
Dance Studio. I don't even care about it, but don't put it on the box if it's not in the game.
And then suddenly it's not in the game. Like that type of thing. Like that's like one example, but that type of thing is like a bit of a piss take. But the other thing with this as well, apologies, ladies and gentlemen, is internet access. And there are a lot of people who, maybe they're just the vocal minority, I don't know. I've seen them on Reddit and I've seen them in other places moaning about this. I don't have this loaded up, so I can't show you, but they're moaning about, I've got data caps, my internet's not as good, and like I'm reading it and I'm thinking, surely, Mr. Kirioff, we live in an age now where pretty much everybody has internet access. That would be, you know, I don't know. Like again, this kind of just sound a bit prickish of me to say, because I'm sitting here with my internet line and it's fine and it's uncapped and whatever, and I'm in the UK and our internet infrastructure, thank fuck, has got pretty decent recently. Whereas I know there's people in Australia, people listening to this now, who I've spoken to, who have like severely shit internet connections for what they get, and it does cost them a lot of money. So I can understand how you could be pissed, but like, is it time to let those people go? You know what I mean? Obviously Braben thinks it is, and he's just been like, well, this is pointless now.
You know what? I don't think it actually even comes down to a conscious choice, as in like these people don't matter so much as we've reached a point now in this industry where day one patches are almost pretty much the standard. Every game has got a day one patch at this point. You know,
console
and they're not
gamers
small patches either.
Is a 30 gig patch.
We're not talking like, oh well, we need to do a few fixes. Is 20 meg of data. We're talking a good couple of gigs at a time, and that even applies to games that have offline modes. And without those patches, those games are not going to work properly. Now, you could say, well, day one patches are a bad example because this stuff should be fixed before it's released. I'm not arguing with that, because the state of new releases recently has been shocking in many respects,
we'll
especially in certain publishers. Yeah,
so.
But at the same time, without the ability to do that kind of thing, you severely limit a game's potential. Like, there's ways to deliver content to these games. There's DLC, there's expansions, there's all kinds of stuff. And some of this stuff is not viable in terms of doing, like, a hard release on a disc or something. Like, look at DLC, let's say a game comes out, it's got a single-player mode, but there's an option where you can get some more missions. In fact, Dragon Age Origins is a perfect example of this. There was DLC for that game. It was basically an offline single player RPG.
Yeah.
But having that access to that DLC greatly enhanced the game, which is why the Ultimate Edition on Steam is probably the thing I've played the most recently. Without the ability to do that, would that stuff have been made? No, it wouldn't have been made. Because it wouldn't have been possible to deliver it the way they wanted it to. And therefore the game would not be as good. I don't think it's a case of consciously saying, well, if you've got shit internet, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave you. I think it's more a case of, we're at the point now where to produce content for these games in a way that allows them to grow and evolve the way we want them to, we kind of have to go with the majority. And the majority of people buying these games, I'm afraid to say, probably have decent internet.
I mean,
I think
I think also as well with like Elite Dangerous, that you would be looking at maybe potentially offering two different types of content, which they're not actually, maybe isn't cost effective for them to do. The main priority is going to be the online universe, okay? Because you want to be flying around, you want to interact with people. That's part that, you know, that's like, I'm going to say the majority of the game would be me flying past Kiri and then just fucking blowing him away and laughing at him. That would be really funny, you know, or him doing it to me or something, you know. But doing it on your own, offline, just seemed like a very, like it almost seems like a pointless thing. But what I want to stress as well is I'm not like, things like Diablo 3, for example, with its always online bollocks, that is shit. You know, I'm not saying games should be always online, but like the multiplayer aspect of a game like Elite Dangerous, it makes complete sense to me that they would focus on the online aspect and just say fuck
absolutely
offline.
I mean, there's a point where there was a time where I think games like Elite were perfectly acceptable offline. Like, I'm thinking at the moment of Freelancer. Freelancer had a fantastic campaign. It had a massive amount of space to explore. You could literally play that single player for hours and hours and hours, like endlessly. But at the same time, the multiplayer aspect of it was brilliant, and it made the game last way longer than it should have done. There is still Freelancer servers going today. There's still one that's got 128 slots, and people still play it because it's been updated and it's been modded and so on and so forth. I kind of look at Freelancer and I think that was great for its time. I don't think Elite Dangerous would be great for its time if you were stuck offline and things couldn't be updated, things couldn't evolve, things couldn't change.
But then isn't this a deeper issue? I've seen Space Wingman say in the chat, like, I want to highlight what you just said. I mean, it's like, it shouldn't be a requirement though, should it? It shouldn't be, oh, it's only online, so fuck you. You need an internet connection. Surely the consumer should have choice. If the consumer wants to play offline, then should you not? But again, I think it just comes down to how many people actually do want to play it offline compared to how many want to play it online. And I'm pretty sure it's just going to be.
I think at this point,
for online.
I think the thing is that it does come down to the consumer, and the consumer, I think, overwhelmingly has said we have an internet connection, and we can play online. I think that's what it boils down to. I mean, another thing as well is look at say, for instance, some of the most popular games in the world, League of Legends. That's got an insane player base. That is entirely online. Dota 2 is entirely online. World of Warcraft is entirely online. Call of Duty, yeah, it's got a single player, but who the fuck cares? Everyone plays it online. The vast majority of consumers have already made the decision for the people who unfortunately don't have decent internet. And that decision is, we want to play online.
I'm not... Yeah, no,
I'm not arguing that the choice... I'm not arguing that the choice shouldn't be there. I think the choice should be there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's very easy to see why it isn't. Because whilst people should have the choice... But
the main problem is... Hang on a sec. The main thing is, those games you've all outlined there are online games. They have to be... You cannot play them on your own. You cannot... Like,
yeah,
Elite,
that's true, yeah.
People wanted to play it on their own because of the history of Elite. So it is a little bit different, but I do think we did cover it well, where we said, or we kind of agreed that to have a single player version of it alongside an online, it's going to be, again, this is subjective, but it's less of an experience simply because of what I outlined, me flying past Kiri and shooting him and laughing as he's dying, whatever. You're not going to get that with...
Yeah, offline. I think it would be less of an experience. And I think as well that's something else that is, in a way, kind of key, in that the people making the games, they've got to go with what they feel would be the best experience. I mean, if he thinks that the game is far more suited to online than offline, admittedly, yeah, I think he should give the choice. But on the other hand, dropping offline will probably mean that they will be focusing more effort onto the online side of it, which is where he feels the game shines. So I think the choice should be there, but I can absolutely understand why it's not. It's one of those things where it's down to consumers, and consumers, unfortunately, have made the choice for everyone and ignored the people who can't do this. And all people are doing, like all developers and publishers are doing, are taking on board what the market says. The market might be wrong in a few cases, like in the case of people who want offline access, but people, developers, publishers, they're going to chase not just the money, but their vision for what these things should be. And if the thing, according to Braben, should be online, unfortunately, he's the one with creative direction over the game. So
and
it'd be nice to have the choice, but he doesn't actually have to.
Yeah, because
he doesn't actually have to pay attention to that, sadly, because he's got control.
Well, yeah, and like this just goes back to the whole thing with it being a Kickstarter game where they may say things, but it's all possible. It's not like this is set in stone. We'll deliver this.
Yeah,
I think it's good what they've done. I mean, I agree with the move that he's done. Like, whether you agree or not that he's just said get rid of single player, well, offline mode, not single player necessarily. How difficult that would have been for them to add into the game, I don't know. Would it just be a case of flipping a switch, like, oh, it's not online anymore, so and still deliver the updates? Maybe it could work that way. I don't know. But he's decided to switch the focus to completely online. Has had a backlash. Because let's not forget, he's not done this. Well, they've not done this immediately and gone, oh God, let's give people a refund. They've just thought, well, we can probably get away with it. No, you can't get away with it because people who kickstart are fucking mouthy and they're going crazy, and you get articles like this appearing all over the internet, and people like us talking about it, and then they've come out and said, look, we'll give you a refund. So the pissed off customers can actually get their money back. So at least they're going to be kind of happy, but they're still going to be pissed because
that's the thing.
The vision is not what they wanted. Yeah,
at least their money hasn't been taken, and they're not getting what they promised. I know getting your money back to something it's shit. not a substitute. No. It's still shit, but at the same time, at least in a material way, you haven't lost out. I know you've lost out on the experience, and that's what you wanted, but at the same time, it's so much better for them to own up and just say, look, we don't think it's going to work offline. We're pulling offline support. We know that you wanted this, and we also know that that's why you funded it. Take your money. We shouldn't have it. I think that takes a lot of guts to do, and I think it's fair that they've done it. I think they've done right by the people who supported them by kind of at least showing a little bit of support in the decision that's going to upset them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think they've done damage control and it's good. They haven't just ignored it and let the thing fester. So like I said, it's an interesting topic. On the face of it, it's not really much of a topic to speak about. But as you can see, there's actually quite a bit to talk about with the whole, like, the argument with internet speeds for a start, the argument with things being online only, the fact that it was a Kickstarter-funded game, so it is not set in stone what it will be, and things like that. So pretty interesting. I've actually got a tab open. This is nothing to do with the topics on HOTFIX. This just made me laugh, ladies and gentlemen. This is from CVG, and they say this is news from EA. This is dead funny. I just pissed myself laughing at it. So get ready, guys, for this bombshell. Battlefield 5 will still be military themed, says EA CFO, which I believe is the chief financial officer. I don't know why he would be commenting.
Was it franchise? Whether it be military themed or not, because let's face it, they've been moving away from that in recent years.
Guys,
what?
I'm the EA CFO. FIFA 2016 orifice.
Chief fucking orifice. Oh my god.
Official announcement: FIFA 2016 will be a football game.
Madden will be about American football, going back to its roots. We're on the 25th. It'll be the 26th installment, and we're going back to American football.
Is Madden still alive?
What is?
Who is he? I don't even know. Anyway, no. But the only reason they've said this is because Battlefield Hardline is their next core Battlefield title coming out next year, which looks totally gash, and it's probably going to bomb. And I hope it does, because it looks shit. That is gash. and it's cops and robbers. So maybe people are like, "Oh my god, you've turned it into cops and robbers." Blah, 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 blah. So they made a little statement saying it'll be a military shooter, which is dead funny to me. Anyway, like I said, it wasn't much of a topic, but it made me laugh. Also, this as well.
Well,
This game here, Heat Signature, looks pretty good. Go and check that out. Anyway, Far Cry 4. Now, this game is the game is Far Cry 3, but set in a fictional Himalayas setting. It's kind of Far Cry Skyrim. That's the way to think of it. It's just Far Cry 3 with a different guy as a stupid character, this pagan chap, and it's the same game. However, right, we're back on PC Gamer again. This makes me laugh. Right, this makes me laugh because Far Cry 4 live update site. So the fact that they've actually got a site which lists the problems with the game and tells you how they're fixing them is very laughable to me. Because again, this is not a fucking Kickstarter game. It's something you would buy and expect to function as one buys a washing machine and expects it to wash their fucking clothes. Anyway. So there's 3 primary issues. Well. Where is the stupid page? Let's see what their primary issues are. Because I'll tell you what my primary issues are. Shit PC performance, random frame drops, the use of Core 3 on the CPU for some reason, when you're sitting there with fucking 6 cores, actual cores, not fucking stupid cores. And the 3rd core is killing itself because the game's programmed by fucking cabbage. And there's like mouse acceleration. When that's turned off. Yeah, but it's off though. But it's weird. Admittedly, there is field of view support has been put in the game, but that wasn't in at launch because I don't know. They put it in as a patch. So everybody moaning about it, they said it was a pirate because they got the pirated version, which obviously didn't update. Or maybe, just maybe, they didn't fucking update the game. I don't know. You cabbages. Anyway,
in fairness, that is kind of funny if that's actually the case about the whole. Because although that's kind of like almost like a subtle way of doing anti-piracy, but by far still the best one. And I don't think I've seen a company do this again. Was it Serious Sam 3? If you pirated that game, a giant red invincible scorpion guy with a minigun for an arm chased you endlessly and wouldn't let you finish the game because it just killed you over and over again. That was the best way to do it. Field of view sliders. For a start, it's like, what is that even? That's a terrible way of trying to deter anybody from playing a game. Oh god, no field of view. But here's the thing, right? And you're going to have to explain this to me, because I don't care about Far Cry.
No, neither do I, really, but I'll explain away.
But it's like, you know the way you feel about Assassin's Creed? That's like, for me, that's Far Cry. Yeah. I do not want to I don't want a fucking FPS in a jungle. I don't give a fuck. I don't understand why you'd play it. It's just like, it's just meaningless to me. I don't understand it at all. Have they actually... This is going to sound weird, given I like Assassin's Creed. Have they changed anything at all over the past few Far Cry games?
Well,
is anything different? Well, apart from the addition of eagles and rhinos. I mean, is that all there is, or what?
It's just the past Far Cry game, because Far Cry 2 and 1 obviously were different. But Far Cry 3, no, it's sort of... The same systems are there. Some of them are slightly streamlined. I think the way you can get around the map and stuff is slightly different. It's just a typical Ubisoft format game where, you know, on Assassin's Creed, you look at the map, there's about 1 billion different icons. It's like, holy shit, what am I going to do? I can do pointless side quests until I fucking die of old age. It's the same thing. You know, it's even like with Far Cry 3, there was this whole like mechanic where you go up the tower. I think it was a radar tower or some shit, and you disable it, and it would allow you to see everything in that region of the map. So you could see all like the little outposts you could go and attack, or the little stupid side quests, or little fucking hunting missions, or whatever you was going to go on. But in Far Cry 4, it's exactly the same. Only this time, it's not a radar tower; it's a bell tower, because it's all fucking Buddhist monk crap. Because that's what they'd have in the Himalayas, isn't it? And it's pumping propaganda out. So you go and turn a propaganda player off.
Why?
And it's the same. Like, it's the same format. Like, Ubisoft are terrible for this. They just regurgitate the same thing over and over again. That being said, Far Cry 4 isn't that bad. Visually, it's quite impressive. Apart from when the frame rate collapses into fucking nothing. Because now bearing in mind I don't have my 780, I've got my 7950 installed, so this is like a mid-range card. The rest of my computer, though, for all intents and purposes, is basically top of the range. But I was playing it on high settings, and I was getting about 50, and it was going over 60 FPS at times, but it would drop like down to 30, but only for like a second. Then it would come back up. But it does this all the time, and it was like, basically unplayable to me. I just was like, it was annoying me, you know, and I just thought, pff. I did the first couple of, I guess, story quests, you could call them, on missions. And then I just looked at it and thought, it's a decent game. It runs like shit. The aim's terrible. I have no interest in this anymore because it's just, there's too many things to do. Like, it's just like pointless stuff. Yeah. But this website is what I wanted to talk about because this is just comedy. Like, I'm looking at this website now. I'll give you the link, Mr. Kiri, because I don't think I gave it you. Because we are professional and shit. And obviously I give all of the...
Professional and shit.
There you go. So...
Oh, Lord.
Here you go, chat.
No.
There you go,
it
chat.
Was smooth.
I'll give it the chat on the stream as well. So this, right, if you look, you've got... this is their live update page for things that have gone wrong and that they're going to fix. PlayStation 3 digital download fix. Oh, okay. Get the details on how to resolve issues with the PS3 version. The PC patch, it's fixing a black screen. It's like keys to Kyrat. What? You know, like, I know why they've done this, because on one hand, it's like, well, yes, look, we're actually... yes, no, hang on, the Penguin, whenever you get in a car, fucking hell, it collapses. Real bad. Real bad.
Once it collapses if you get in a car?
Well, the frames just drop down to 30 because you're moving through the environment fast. It must be something to do with it loading other assets in, and it just fucks the CPU, whatever CPU it is. It's sort of like that. You know, you imagine you're going along like this, and it's like... It's like that. Like, the frame rate just keeps dropping. It's annoying as shit. But yeah, I know why they've got this page, because it's like, look, guys, we are actually trying to do something. But again, all I'm going to say to this is, hello. I went into a shop and I bought your game. The shop was owned by Gaben, and I bought the game off him. And it runs like a pig's arse, a chewed pig's ear, ate by a rat, and shat out on the street.
It runs like a pig's arse. That is not. I'm using that. I'm stealing it.
And I'm afraid it's unplayable. You know. So
yeah,
why?
It feels fucking familiar, doesn't it, to another release that happened recently from Ubisoft. What are they seriously though? What the fuck are they doing? Who's on their dev teams at the moment? Why is no one capable of optimizing anything worth a fuck for any? The thing is, it's not even just for one thing. It's for every fucking console, and it's for the PC as well. What are they actually doing? Is there any sort of quality control, or are they just going, well, the frame rate drops and getting in a car fucking ruins it, and generally it just does not work properly. But on the other hand, let's just do it. It's fine. What?
You know what? I got to talk about the game a bit itself, because it is like it's a bit strange. I know it's a game, right, guys? I know it's a fucking game. So I'm driving around in my. I killed some hippies. I just fucking mowed them down with an AK because I just seen them coming and just fucking wasted them, and took their little camper van, their VW camper. I don't know why they'd be hippie hitchhiking in a war zone, but whatever. You know, maybe that's their thing. I killed them anyway. I get in the truck, driving around, and then there's like a roadblock I come up to, and I slowed down, and I can hear people going, "Eagle! Eagle! Eagle!" And I'm thinking, the fuck's an eagle? Is this like some sort of like assassin, some sort of like super trooper, some sort of commando? No, it's actually an eagle. And there's all these people with like light machine guns going like this, shooting at an eagle. And I'm like, what the hell? I don't think eagles are particularly known for killing people and that you have to shoot them on sight with automatic weapons. Then it gets worse, because, Mr. Kirioff, I'm no geography expert, and maybe somebody could... Well, I'm no wildlife expert. Maybe somebody could correct me on this. But I don't think rhinos are in the Himalayas.
I'm pretty sure there's rhinos in it. No,
it might be. I don't know.
There are. I don't think there are they?
But you know what happens? Whenever you're in a car, they seem to be attracted to the car. So they'll come and smash your car. Now, this was found out quite hilariously by me, because I had the game minimised. When I maximised the game, my car was upside down. I'm like, what is going on here? I got out of the car, found another one, started driving around. Suddenly, it's like, rhino. I'm like, a fucking rhino? A rhino hit the side of my fucking truck and launched it down a fucking cliff. I was like, what? It's all very surreal. I was like, what the hell? But like I said, it is a game, so whatever. But like, on the face of it, it ain't bad. I cannot recommend you go out and buy this game right now. If you enjoyed Far Cry 3, you will fucking love this, because it's the same thing, with a better graphics engine, more streamlined presentation. It just runs like shit at the moment on PC. Probably runs like shit on other platforms. I mean, on console, it's not even going to run at 30 FPS, but
Yeah.
They need to fix that. Need to fix the mouse problems. And beyond that, you can tell that parts of the UI are blatantly designed for consoles. So the radial selection menu, that's a console thing. The way the inventory management is done is just pointlessly shit. Like you can see only a few items. It's terrible. But yeah, it's just Far Cry 3, guys.
Just another game that is like, be nice if there was something. Be nice if there was something good that come out, wouldn't it? Be nice if there was something.
Well,
although looking for that from Ubisoft, I mean, is probably.
I've got another fucking thing here from Twitter. Now this is from Alex Hutchinson, Bang Bang Click, who is I believe involved in the dev team for Far Cry 4. He's having a conversation with another guy who I think is something to do with Ubisoft as well, and he says it's sad because 90% of people are amazing and fun to interact with, and then 10% of the audience is so poisonous and entitled. Now, this is a generic comment you can make about everything. I could say this on Twitter right now. Yeah? In fact, I'm going to say this on Twitter right now. If you follow... No, I'm not, because I'll break the overlay. I'm not. But just imagine I have, right? You could say that about anything. Problem is, Alex, you're selling a product. Yeah? And if I bought your game off Steam... Now, I haven't, guys. They gave this to me because... they wanted coverage, and it didn't work. I'm not entitled. I'm not poisonous. I've been sold something that's broken.
Yeah, that's
so I'm like,
really,
hang on.
That's something that genuinely pisses me off, and it's starting to get a bit worse now, where if someone says something critical, or if someone dares to be upset because they've spent, and let's face it, it's not a small amount of money anymore. These games are starting to cost 45, 50, 55 quid in some cases. If you've spent that much money, and that is a lot of money, right? To most people, that is a lot of money. And you get a shitty, broken product that doesn't run properly, that suffers from frame drops, that has issues with black screens and stuff. You have every right to be pissed off, because if you've handed your money over to someone, and they give you something that does not work in return, that means you've been ripped off, and that they've done something to deceive you. That's how it works. If you take your fucking car back to the dealer, because something's broken on it, the dealer does not then go, "Oh, I don't see what your problem is, you're just being entitled." It's like, no, dickhead, I just gave you a bunch of money for a working product. It's like, that's not how it works.
I'm going to roleplay this shit. So... that's Kiri walking. That's Kiri walking into the dealership. He's like, "Hello, sir. I bought a motor vehicle off you sometimes many moons ago. I believe the rear axle has become flabbergasted and is dilapidated in every conceivable way. Dickhead." Maybe not. But yeah,
you know what I mean? It's
like, it is right. It's like my washing machine example before. You know, I'm sick of this. You know what, right? Fucking bollocks to unit loss on YouTube. I'm going to start a fucking business where I'm just going to sue game companies for releasing crap. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I've got no legal training at all and no cash to start it with, but it don't matter. I'll be there with you.
I'll be done anyway.
I'd just be like escorted off the premises by.
Well, this is the thing as well.
Whoever's in charge.
Something else as well is the word entitled. I don't think a lot of these people know what entitled means. Because in a way, if someone has a go at you because your game is broken and they've paid you for it, they are entitled. They're entitled to something that fucking works. That's what they're entitled to. You're entitled to have something that is functional that you have paid for. That's what that means. It doesn't. It's like become this blanket word for, if you want something that I don't think I should give you, you're entitled. Whereas actually, it's got its own like very standard definition. If you exchange goods for services and the services are not given to you, you are entitled to a refund, or you're entitled for those services to be provided. That's where the origin of the word has come from, and that's what it still fucking means. So if someone bitches you out for not doing your job, don't say that they're entitled, because you're actually completely correct. They are.
When you get statements as well, like, well, your system isn't top of the range, or your system isn't this, your system isn't that. Maybe that's why. Total Biscuit does a series, the Port Report thing, which is okay. But the main point of it is, you know what his system is. You know it is like SLI GTX 980s. They're the fastest cards you can get, and there's two of them. And it's like, if that system cannot play the game, then what the hell? The game is not going to run on... They have made it... Like, let's just put this into perspective, right? Somebody with the system of that caliber is going to be under 1% of the PC market. So if you've made a game that doesn't even work for those people, it's not going to fucking work for anybody. You know? And it's like, that is like bad. So it is a good idea to watch that if ever you do want to see performance related. Like, I mean, you can just watch it muted. If you can see it's laggy and whatever, then you know it's shit. You know, the video serves its purpose because that is an extremely high-end machine that the game's been played on. So
something that he's pointed out is that I can understand some people had this complaint with his reports about the fact that, well, your PC is really powerful. You know, it doesn't. My PC is nowhere near as strong as that. He actually brings up a good point that if a game doesn't run smoothly on hardware of that caliber, of that price, then like Billy Joe Blogs with his like 500 quid budget gaming PC has got no chance. Like, he's got not a chance in hell of the game running smoothly at a decent frame rate if a machine that cost thousands upon thousands can't do it. And that's something as well where, if this is something else as well, I don't quite understand some of the claims that have been made about Far Cry 4, particularly with like black screen stuff. One of the things that they talked about was the fact that certain peripherals might cause the game to black screen. Like, there was something about Logitech stuff possibly might be causing it. I don't even understand how that works. I mean, admittedly, I'm not a programmer, but if you've got a certain keyboard, why would the game crap?
The problem
is just bizarre to me. It's just weird. It's like,
Ubisoft's big issue is they sell on console. They develop for console. They do not make games for PC. So when they get a game functioning at a level which is fine on the standardized console hardware, that's fine to them. To them, waste time developing the game for the PC. I heard that. Waste time developing for the PC. You know, adapting the game so it runs well, runs at acceptable frame rates, because you can't sell a PC FPS game or anything like that at 30 FPS, you'll get killed. They don't, you know, their main market. I mean this with the greatest respect.
Can't even get that right.
I'm not going to name anybody, but I mean this with the greatest respect to those people. But there are a lot of people out there who will be like, wow, Assassin's Creed was great at launch, and wow, Far Cry 4 is really good, because they're sitting there playing it on the console at 30 FPS. It looks like shit. It runs like shit, but they don't care because they're happy with that. And
yeah,
that's the majority of people. I've got nothing against those people, because at the end of the day, there's only a certain number of wankers like us who get all fucking pissed about things not running properly and whatever.
It's essentially whatever makes you happy, ain't it? If they're satisfied with that. But yes, then again,
that gets even deeper. We're kind of going back into what we were talking about with the Elite Dangerous thing with the internet, because then it's all like, well, Mr. Kirioff, but then we just devolve into the fucking 30 FPS versus 60, and I go to that video, and it's like, I can't hardly tell the difference. It's like, what the hell? Oh, there's no difference. Really? No, guys, come on. Unless you're watching on a 30 FPS monitor, which I don't think is even possible.
I was going to say, does that even exist? Maybe they're using TVs. A lot of TVs are still only 30. Like old TVs. Admittedly, both of mine in my house are 60, but, you know, it could be. Could be that. 30 hertz.
My monitor's 144. That's all I accept.
No, in fairness, mine isn't. Mine's only 60. But, you know, what can you do apart from buy a new?
I just don't know. Let's recap what we've been over, because HOTFIX is a show of win and maximum.
There is one more
the reverse.
Thing, though.
Is there? Oh shit!
Well, we have to finish on something good. We can't finish on Far Cry 4. Jesus Christ! Mess that's been.
I don't have anything to show the people.
Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry. You don't necessarily need to show anything to the people, but I can tell them right now, and this is going to be really helpful for people watching on the channel.
No, hang on. I've got to ask
the question. Probably seen this video go live.
Where is it? Link it me.
Have you lost it?
I'll play it. Link it me.
I can't. It's uploading. I've done it on the sly. On the sly.
Well, it's not even out. Oh, what the fuck?
It took like 5 hours to encode.
God.
Turns out 60 FPS encoding. I don't know why it takes. Well. But anyway,
Mr. Kirioff, I need to give you a lesson.
Inquisition,
Mr. Kirioff, what did you think? This is going to take ages to explain, but I don't even care. Mr. Kirioff, you are. Let me introduce. Let me start again. Hello, Mr. Kirioff. You are.
Are we starting the whole thing again? Or?
No, you are. Hello, Mr. Kirioff. You are possibly... Stop interrupting me. Hello, Mr. Kirioff. You are possibly... Was that an interruption? Hello, Mr. Kirioff. You are possibly the most filthy, rancid Dragon Age addict I've ever met. Now, I've played through the game, and I enjoyed it, but I only played through it once. Now, I do not own Dragon Age Origins 10 times on 20 different platforms and all. I'm not an idiot.
I only bought it 3 times.
You bought the collector's edition
fairness.
after you bought the game, and then bought it again, and then bought it on Steam, and then bought it on fucking everything else, and probably Origin. But, Mr. Kirioff, Dragon Age 2 was a thing, and this was bad. So
no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't?
No, it didn't exist. It was
I see.
It was propaganda, a marketing stunt.
What I need to know,
sadly.
Yeah, don't spoil. No spoilers, Mr. Kirioff. Else I'll just kidney blow you. How is it, Mr. Kirioff? How does it shape up to Dragon Age Origins? Because I like
it. It is actually good. It feels way more like Dragon Age Origins than it does Dragon Age 2. The thing that I really liked about Origins, actually, the main thing was basically the first couple of hours of the game were my favourite parts of that, because, as the name suggests, the origin story of your hero was really, really well handled. I thought they did it absolutely brilliantly. There's no... Actually, no, that's not true. I was going to say there's no origin story for your character in Origins that is boring, but... To be honest, that's not true, because the Wood Elf, the Dalish Elves, however you want to pronounce it, that was boring. But all the others were really good. It handled storytelling in a really good way. The things I didn't like about it is the combat was a bit, like, piss weak, if I'm honest. The weapons looked like they weighed a ton, but then when you hit people with them, they didn't actually react to it in any way, shape, or form. It was like, if you had especially a female character, if you had a great sword, massive two-handed sword, she fucking hunched her back over, and it looked like she was literally about to collapse under the weight. She'd do a massive swing, it'd hit someone in the face, and they would just stand there and just not react to it whatsoever. That's the only thing I didn't like about the combat. Everything else was really good. The storytelling was good, the combat was good, and for the time as well, it looked really nice as well. Dragon Age 2 was not like that though, was it, Blow? The storytelling was not good. The storytelling took away the origin story that was the best thing about Dragon Age Origins. And it took away some of the crazier decisions that you could make. For instance, I cannot remember any point in Dragon Age 2 where I could do anything as mental as pouring blood into the ashes of a martyred saint.
I remember that.
There was no option to do that in Dragon Age 2, and that was disappointing, because I absolutely did that with my blood mage.
What was the thing in Dragon Age Origins where you're in like a town and there's a kid, and then you can like butcher him? And like...
Yeah, there's it's Redfall. I'm pretty sure it's Redfall, like where you go and there's like demons coming down from the castle, and everyone in there has been possessed. And it turns out there's a demon from the Fade who's possessed this kid. And you're supposed to set him free, or you can kill him, or you can do what I did. I wanted the secrets of blood magic, so I absolutely let the demon stay inside the kid and do whatever the fuck he wanted to the town, and then I left. That was the same character where I poured the blood into the ashes, and 2 of my party turned on me in the temple and tried to kill me. So when I went outside and got attacked by a dragon, I had me and fucking Morrigan, and we got killed. And I had to abandon that playthrough because it was literally impossible to progress any further.
And then Dragon Age 2 came out. Why? You know, I remember, you know, okay, it's been a long time since I played Dragon Age Origins, but for me, the best thing was the storytelling was great.
Redcliffe, that's it.
You were going through a fucking story pretty much constantly, you know, loosely, I guess, a Mass Effect fantasy type game, but with MMO combat, MMO group combat.
It was like...
I enjoyed it, but then Dragon Age 2 came out and was shit. So now, Mr. Kirioff, I want to know what the fucking hell Inquisition is like. What's it like?
You know what? They've taken away some of the things that I liked about Origin, with the fact that, you know, you've got these different beginnings to these characters that kind of set up the history a bit.
Yeah.
But the way they introduce the character that you play, it's your character now. That's the main thing that I like. It's not someone called Hawk. It's not someone with a predetermined past, like the person that you played in Dragon Age 2. Because they just dump you in and it's like, this is your character, off you go. And I didn't like that, because it made a massive assumption as to how they got where they were. Whereas in Inquisition, it is literally, you wake up and everything has gone to shit around you, and you don't know why. All you know is you know your name, the race you are, and the class you are, and you have to discover everything from that point. There's no, like... there's no sort of shortcut to it, which is the thing I didn't like about Dragon Age 2. It felt like they just basically boosted you to partway through this character's life and just went, off you go, fine, fuck it, do whatever you like. Dragon Age Inquisition doesn't feel like that at all. It actually feels like you've got a reason for being there. And they've done a very good job of basically you find yourself in a position where you have to do something, otherwise you and everyone else will die. So get it done. And it's been done in such a way that you kind of feel like you'd make the choice to do it anyway. I mean, I know you have to because it's a game, but the way they've laid out the options and stuff, it kind of makes it feel more like you're making choices. Whereas, again, in Dragon Age 2, I didn't feel like I was making a choice. Well, I felt like the character was
I don't even want to hear about Dragon Age 2 comparisons because, like you said, that game didn't exist. It's more to do with Dragon Age 1 because, like, for me, now I have the game, but, like, EA give us the game, so it's like we're not... That give us late as well. Thanks, EA. If I was in the shoes of a consumer right now and I absolutely 100% bought Dragon Age Origins and really enjoyed that, I then... This is my actual history. I then bought Dragon Age 2 and was like, what the fucking hell have I just done? I want my money back, but I didn't get it back. Yeah. And now I'm like, Dragon Age Inquisition, you know what? I haven't really been following the news that closely leading up to the launch of the game. The only thing I did know is that they've removed healing from the game, healing classes. And I was like, hang on a minute, that seems a bit dodgy. Because it's like, who's going to heal sort of thing. But that's all I know. And like, so when I'm asking you, because I know you're a massive addict and played the game tons and tons, Dragon Age Origins, and obviously you played this one today, would me, as a fan of Dragon Age and really enjoyed Origins, would I get the same enjoyment out of Inquisition?
Yeah, you absolutely would. It feels like Origins 2. I'm not going to lie, it does feel simplified from Origins because...
I think that's just
it does.
Yeah, that's just something that would happen, really, unfortunately.
That's just something that tends to happen pretty much no matter where you go for any game you get, unfortunately.
Does it feel like a console game?
No, it doesn't feel like a console game. I tell you what it feels like, and this is weird. I mentioned it a couple of times in the video. The abilities that I have is that I picked a Kunari warrior. The fact you can be the Kunari now is awesome because let's face it, Sten in Origins was a badass, even if he did kill a family and murder the children. But, you know, that's just...
I remember him. He's that massive guy in a cage, wasn't he?
Yeah, the massive guy, yeah. You can be, like, his race, although they changed it up so they've got horns for whatever reason. And the Kunari woman that I am, she is like an outlaw, kind of like a mercenary. And she's two-handed specialisation. She's got a move where she sort of spins, like turns, hefts a massive sword over her shoulder, and slams it into the floor. Now, that ability was in Origins. That was a knockback. It knocked people down. Because there were two. There was Pommel Strike with single-handed weapon that knocked them to the floor, and there was like this overhand thing with the Greatsword, which knocked them over on the floor. I think it was called Overpower or something in Origins. I can't remember. But they've got the same move here, except when it hits the floor, it doesn't just knock them over. It actually has an effect on the ground. Like a completely meaningless, like erroneous effect. All it is when the sword slams into the floor, there's like this crater impact and these stones like slam up out of the ground. And I don't know whether it's because I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft recently, but that and a few other things, like a few other abilities, feel so very, very MMO to me. Like they really do. There's an ability where you that I picked because it sounded hilarious and it turned out it was, where you like throw a spearhead with a chain attached at someone, and it like slams into them, and then you pull them back towards you. And again, admittedly, that's not new to RPGs or anything. That's not a new combat move. But there's something about the implementation of the combat in this game that just it feels like an MMO.
Is it
that's
conspiracy
the only way to
time?
describe it.
I think it's conspiracy time. Mr. Kirioff.
I think it might be conspiracy
People
time.
have probably been watching me and thinking, what has Sly been doing? I've been thinking, just. So, do you think... I've got two conspiracies, Mr. Kirioff. This is the first one. The more likely of the conspiracies I'm going to go with. Dragon Age Inquisition was designed as a MMO, and EA then seen what happened to Elder Scrolls Online and were like, this could happen to our established fantasy RPG game if we do that, and it will be bad. Okay, or do you think they have gone over to Star Wars: The Old Republic and nicked the combat system? That's maybe the more likely one, and threw it into this game.
Well, you see, the combat system still feels like Origins. I have to admit that actually it's better than Origins because the weapons don't look like they're weighing your character down, but they at least look like they've got some weight to them. You know, it doesn't look like you're just waving it about,
Let me ask
which
some
is
basic
nice.
questions. Is it the same? Like, okay, so what I remember from Origins is you had like the planning phase thing. So you could like, you go into combat, you'd pause the game, you'd select different people, and you'd give them orders and targets to attack. You'd play the game, it'd play out. Then you'd pause, change the orders. Is it still that?
Yeah, you can still do that. That is still, in fact, one of the first things it does when you get into combat with more than 2 people is it goes, here's the planning phase, use this to decide where you're going to be attacking. So that's still there. And admittedly, it's irritating because it's not space anymore because you can jump now, which is weird. Like, I don't know why you need to jump. I don't think you need... Yeah. Exactly, I don't think you need to jump. And the instances where I have had to jump, they're like kind of... You don't need to put jump into the game for that. You know what I mean? It's like, at one point I had to jump over a low wall, and I was just thinking, all they had to do, rather than implement jump, is to just, like, not put that wall there. Do you know? And it's like, it feels very... even the jump animation, which is terrible, feels like an MMO jump. That's the only way to describe it.
Somebody just said in the chat, Fatal, somebody's just gone off the chat, like Kingdoms of Amalur. Now... No, not like Kingdoms of Amalur, because Kingdoms of Amalur was designed to be an MMO originally, right? This is the studio, I forget what they're called, but it was Kurt Schilling's studio. Now, Kurt Schilling was a baseball...
Was it Red 59 or something? Something like that.
God knows. Might have been. Maybe he played for the Red Sox. Is that a team? I don't know. But he was a baseball player, this guy was, this Kurt Schilling guy. He was a fan of like games like EverQuest and stuff like that. I think he even had his own NPC in EverQuest 2 and shit like that. He founded the studio, and they wanted to make an MMO. This was Kingdoms of Amalur, but obviously... I'm not going to go into detail on that because the capitulation was real. Loads of money was lost. The guy basically couldn't run a team of people. He was too much of a nice guy and all of this. Got massive investment from the state and all kinds of shit. Ended up capitulating and just having to throw the product out. So what they did is they turned an MMO into a single-player game. And that's why if you ever played Kingdoms of Amalur, which isn't that bad actually, it does feel like an offline MMO because that's essentially what it is. But my point with Dragon Age is maybe they were trying to go that route with it because what's setting me off on this is Kiri with his targeting thing with hitting the ground. To me, that stinks of like a system which has been designed to compensate for latency. So if you don't, if you issue the attack and it's an AoE attack, well, you're trying to attack a target. Suddenly the target is wider because there's like an effect. You know what I'm trying to say? Instead of like you're just not running it. It's not like something like Dark Souls where you're running to smash somebody or Lords of the Fallen or something, which I guess are primarily offline games in that respect. Unless you play laggy PvP in Dark Souls. But that's what I was getting at. Yeah, and it was also 38 studios. Yeah,
that was it. Red 59. Where did I get that from? I got a number. That was as close as I got. But something else as well is, I tell you, it feels vast. Like Inquisition feels absolutely massive. In the first hour, where you're kind of given the introduction to your character and what's happening, and what your task is ahead of you, if you remember the start of Origins, it's quite a big area, but it's big in that it's like a big circle. You end up kind of going in a loop. It's primarily the Grey Warden section where you go and meet Morrigan in the marshes.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the castle, again, it's kind of a big area, but it's very limited. It's very just like corridors. In Inquisition, I didn't do that much exploring because I wanted to kind of get through and show bits of the combat and the dialogue and try and give a good feel of the game as someone who's just going to go through the first bit up to the first title screen. But looking round, there is a hell of a lot to explore. There was a lot of places I could have been. Like, I'm going to go back and do it with another character because there were points where I walked down the trail that you're supposed to go down, and to the left or right of me, there were areas that looked on the face of it to be just as big as the marshy area of Dragon Age Origins alone. Like that, the Wilds area, that's how big that felt. And that was just little areas.
See, I like that.
The side.
Yeah, I like that because this is one of the main things that draws me to the Elder Scrolls games. I know they've got terrible combat and stuff, but playing Skyrim, obviously the recent example, where you just like you're off doing some sort of a quest, but then you see on the side there's like some sort of path which then goes to some sort of cave, which then goes to some sort of like room, and then in the room there's like a little some sort of trap, which leads to a fucking hidden vampire nest or something. It's like, whoa, that type of shit. Like, that's why
it feels like that.
Yeah, I could get lost for hours and hours in games like that.
Because that was something that was missing from Origins in a way. You didn't have.
It was very linear, wasn't it? Origins,
yeah. Origins was very linear. You could like pick and choose where you went first, and of course there are all the DLC missions that you could go through as well. But you kind of accessed everything by leaving your camp and going to the map. It feels like with Inquisition, you'll be going somewhere, and you might go there to do a mission, but I get the feeling you're going to spend a lot of time just looking around and exploring. Like, a lot of time just sort of taking in the game. Something else as well. I know it's all down to trickery, really. But the way the game looks is... And this is going to sound really weird. The game looks like Origins, but like a better, updated Origins. 2 didn't feel like Dragon Age to me. It didn't have the aesthetic that Origins did. It felt a bit more kind of big and blocky, almost like kind of gothic fantasy instead of... Essentially, I mean, Dragon Age is just standard fantasy stuff, really. It's just magic and warriors and elves and dwarves. It's your standard Tolkien stuff. But Inquisition, it feels like Dragon Age Origins again. It's got that same look to it, that same feel to the areas. And the way they've kind of put the starting area together, for instance, you're surrounded by mountains on all sides, and yet you don't feel like you're in a small place. You're surrounded by huge mountains, but you still feel like you're in a huge valley, which is an impressive thing to achieve, because when you put something that monumental on the map, it's easy to feel small next to it. Like, it's easy to feel like, well, we're in this bit because this is the bit where the game takes place. Whereas actually walking through and looking round, it just feels like the world, as opposed to you are here because you have something to do, which is something that Dragon Age 2 suffered with, and Dragon Age Origins suffered with as well. Like, you felt you were there because the quest was there, as opposed to being there to, you know, take it in and look round and explore. I think Inquisition has kind of really taken that, and I suspect it's going to take ages for me to finish it, because I'm going to want to go around everywhere. Because there's so many places in Origins where I wanted to go further and have a look round, and you just couldn't do it, and that was disappointing. And it looks like they've addressed it, because it kind of feels like everywhere you go, there's going to be somewhere where you go there and you can be like, what's over there? You go over there, and you're there for like an hour. It's really got that kind of really big, proper, living world feel, which, for a game like that, for an RPG, that's kind of what you want. That's what you need to kind of round it out. Yeah,
I suppose it's going to, like, I mean, you've obviously not played enough to comment on anything beyond, like, the first few hours, but it'll be interesting to see if it does keep that up. So we're waiting to see more videos of you, Mr. Kiri. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's go back to the start, the topic screen, and just go over what we've covered. Because, first of all, we went into the Warlords of Draenor launch problems. We did speak a bit about the expansion as well. The things we like and the things we don't like. Some of the weird design decisions with the quests and stuff like that. And also Blizzard's reaction, which I guess they were forced into, or they had to do. They couldn't just do nothing because it was so obvious what had happened. The next thing was Elite Dangerous drops the promised offline mode. And this went into a bit of a debate about how... you know, kind of games depending or like relying on online functionality a little bit too much. Then also into a debate about Kickstarter and what you're backing and what you're actually getting, yada yada yada. And then we went into Far Cry 4 with the problems it had. So we spoke about the graphics being, well, the graphics are okay, but the performance being not very good. This ridiculously accelerated mouse shite, even when that's turned off. We showed their hilarious support live update page, which is, I can see why they've done it, but obviously it's retarded that they even need that. And then Mr. Kiri told us about Dragon Age Origins, and he is in fact a pleb. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of HOTFIX. If you've got any last words, final words, Mr. Kiri.
Go and watch the Dragon Age video when it's uploaded. It should be done in about, I reckon, with processing, half an hour, 35 minutes. Go and watch that. If you're watching on the channel, then for God's sake, go and watch it now if you haven't already. But you should have already, because you should have watched everything we do ever instantly the second it's uploaded. Because
follow me on Twitter. I'm at Unit Lost Gaming and Kiriof's at Kirioff. Do it now, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll catch you next time. Toodaloo.